I, 19 male, was late in life baby. My older brother, 38, was 19 when I was born. Our parents passed away when I was little, and ever since then, my older brother and his partner, now my brother-in-law, got custody of me and raised me. They were the best dads I could ever have, and they always did their best to take care of me. I've been dating this girl, Sarah, 20, for the past 2 months. I really liked her a lot, and she's met my brother and brother-in-law, and everything was fine, but she hasn't wanted me to meet her parents until recently. Finally, 2 weeks ago, she told me that they were coming to visit her this week and that she finally wanted me to meet them. She told me that she didn't want me to say that my brother has a husband who helped raise me because her parents wouldn't like that. I told her I wasn't going to lie about my brother like that. She finally relented on it and told her parents herself. The day of the visit yesterday, we all went to a steakhouse for dinner, and for the most part, the evening was fine, and we had conversations until her parents got to talking about how I was raised. Then they started saying things like how nice of a young man I was, despite the shortcomings of my home life, or that life couldn't have been easy living with my creep brother and his friend, and that they were glad I didn't pick up any bad habits. After they started in, I just saw red, and I slammed $40 on the table for my meal and just walked out and left. Sarah called me multiple times today, telling me I shouldn't have reacted like that, and I overreacted, that she told me her parents wouldn't like it. She was mad at me for leaving her there at the restaurant and that I was rude. I asked my brother and brother-in-law about it, and they told me they loved me for it, but that it was rude, and I probably could have handled it better than that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Sarah has accepted, made excuses for, and outright defended her parents. Sarah should be ashamed. You were beyond respectful to people who showed no respect to you and your family. You did the right thing by implicitly defending your brother and his partner. Ditch Sarah. She's shown you the type of people she supports. Also, your actions show character, not a lack of it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not the idiot. Tell your former, I hope, girlfriend that you're surprised she turned out so well, having been raised by people like that, and that you're sorry she had such a challenging home life. It couldn't have been easy for her to grow up with such losers. Like everyone else has said so far, Sarah and her parents are major idiots here. Her parents' bigotry and ignorance are awful enough, but her making excuses for it and trying to shame you for not being a doormat and just letting them crap all over you and your 2 dads is even worse. It's only been 2 months, so dump Sarah and find a woman who loves you and your family. How someone treats you or whether they stand up for you in front of their family is a huge indicator of them as a person and how you can expect the relationship to be. The fact she told them in advance about OP's situation means she could have set the line for them on what's appropriate and either didn't or isn't going to stand up to them now. She's not even defending OP when her parents aren't there. Maybe Sarah doesn't hold any explicitly phobic views herself, but she certainly has some passive phobia if she thinks it's no big deal to expect OP to tolerate it right in his face. My 19 female sister-in-law's 27 little sister passed away 3 years ago. Though she said she already grieved her death, I think otherwise. She likes to compare anything I do to what her sister did. And sure, 1 or 2 things I'm sure we did alike, but she's taken it as far as comparing almost everything I do. The subjects I took in high school, sports I've played, colors I like, the way I decorate my room, even snacks and food I like, and how I eat. I've told her as nicely as I can if she could just let up comparing me to her late sister all the time because it weirded me out. She did not. When she continued to do it, I talked to my sister, her wife, and told her to ask her to stop. She didn't. Everyone called me overdramatic and said I should let her continue as she clearly sees me as a little sister and it's normal behavior. She's been a lot worse lately since my boyfriend has been over more. She'll make comments like, "My parents would have never allowed my sister to have a boyfriend in her room or spend the night," or "You're lucky boyfriend isn't around me, or I'd kick him out." Yesterday I asked my mom if my boyfriend could stay for dinner, which usually means he'll spend the night too, and she said yeah. Unfortunately, sister-in-law overheard and got mad. She was making snarky comments the rest of breakfast. OP and boyfriend spends way too much time together, and I'm surprised you guys allow her to have boys in her room. You don't know what they're up to in there. She then said she'd stay home instead of going out to keep an eye on my boyfriend and me because we'd be home alone. I didn't think much of it and went about my day. When my boyfriend did come over, we went to my room to hang out. Not even 10 minutes later, she started barging in, trying to tell me to wash dishes, asking me random questions, and trying to invite herself in to hang with us. Eventually, I locked my door because I got annoyed, and it hit the fan from there. When she tried to come in once again and realized it was locked, she started screaming and banging on the door, yelling at me to open it. When I did, she started yelling at me, how her sister wouldn't even be allowed to lock her bedroom door, so I wasn't allowed to. That's when I had enough. I called her delusional and told her I was not her late sister, and she needed to see a therapist because she needed help. She told my parents what I said, and they want me to apologize because, quote, it's just her big sister instincts kicking in. My sister also wants me to apologize because what I said was heartless. I've refused, and they think I'm an insensitive idiot for it. Now I feel like what I said was probably in the idiot territory, and I might have been in the wrong. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. That's really messed up, and you're correct. She does need some therapy or counseling. However, it doesn't sound like anyone is giving her a neutral perspective here and just enabling her to project her late sister on you. Is there anyone in your corner, OP? A relative or trusted authority figure? This sounds like a lot to go through alone, and I feel you could use some sensible backup because you're not out of line here. Not the idiot. You're her sister-in-law, not her little sister. I understand what your mom said about sister-in-law's big sister instincts, but she's going overboard. If your parents don't mind your boyfriend being over and staying the night, she should respect their wishes. I agree. It sounds like she needs to talk to someone. She's projecting on you and sounds like she's hurting your guys' relationships. Not the idiot. Try explaining that you are your own person. You're also 19 and an adult. Your parents or sister-in-law have no say. Do you look like her? Maybe do to your hair for a bit or change your style until she starts to back off. She needs a wake-up call. You are not her sister. My wife and I divorced 8 years ago and have a nearly adult daughter entering her senior year of high school. Since we live about an hour apart, my daughter stays with my ex during the week and comes to stay with me every other weekend. I often make the drive at least once a week to attend a sporting event or a concert or another special event my daughter has going on, so it's not likely I only see her when she comes to me, and I think it's important that she knows I will be there for her. On one of her visits a month or so ago, she mentioned that she's been thinking of taking a gap year after graduating instead of going to college. She knows that I have saved up a substantial amount of money to continue her education and asked if she could use that money to travel and see the world while she still has the freedom to do so. She also knows that this money is not in a 529 plan, my big mistake, and can be used for any purpose, hence why she asked. I was very hesitant to sign off on the idea and suggested that she take some time to think about it. I suggested still applying to some schools and doing some campus tours to explore all her options. She rolled her eyes at me but agreed. A couple of days later, her mom calls me and tells me that I'm a jerk for forcing our daughter to go to college. I told her I wasn't forcing her to do anything. I just want her to be 100% sure about taking a year off because that sort of thing doesn't always work out as people think it will. My ex told me how our daughter wants to travel and we shouldn't be standing in her way. She said she 100% supports our daughter's decision and thinks I should too. I thought about it and came up with a compromise. I told my daughter and ex that if daughter really wants to take a gap year, I have some conditions to give her any money. She has to get a part-time job during the school year to help fund her travel. She still has to apply to at least 3 colleges and take campus tours, and she will get a set amount of money from me each month. I refused to give her the lump sum of money I saved for her education if she would not use it as I intended. My ex and daughter got upset and told me I was unreasonable by putting any conditions on this because it's our daughter's decision. I shouldn't be dictating anything about it. I told them both, if she wants a single cent from me for this idea, then I darn well get to put conditions on it. I told them that these were my terms, and if they don't like them, they can both find ways to pay for daughter's gap year on their own, and I'll use the money I saved for something else. My daughter has since stopped speaking to me and decided not to come visit me for the last few weeks. My ex thinks I'm being an idiot and trying to force our daughter into adhering to some kind of predetermined vision I had for her life. You're not the idiot here. I can't see this logic. You are still the parent. It sounds like this money is still in your name and saved for a specific purpose. If it's her decision, it can also be her responsibility to fund as a legal adult who it sounds like won't be attending a school that year. I think you're generous by offering to repurpose the money with very reasonable and minimal conditions in place. I'm a bit concerned about OP now. Was he planning to give the entire lump sum to a nearly adult girl if she went to college? Surely just giving her enough for tuition and books each semester, along with an allowance for living expenses, would have been the plan. What she wants is a blanket check for her Instagram travels. Stay sane, OP. Agree. And yeah, that money should have been in a 529 for this reason, and a lot of others. A lump of cash is what you have here, and of course your daughter wants it. Let her mother fund the gap year, then you can use your money for college as initially planned. If she decides not to go to a college ever, then I guess you can decide at that point whether it's a bonus for you or a gift for her. A major part of why my ex and I split up is because she's notoriously bad with money. Think hiding multiple maxed out credit cards from me during our marriage bad. I have a sinking feeling in my stomach that my ex has convinced my daughter that I will pay for this whole thing, and now my daughter has that expectation stuck in her head. We're both 20 years old, male and female. We had a 2-year relationship. I, female 20, feel immensely guilty as I'm typing this now. I love him, I truly do. However, I think I deserve better. I got into a fight with my ex-boyfriend almost a month and a half ago. I told him how I received a low grade in our PE class, even though I completed all of our requirements and got nearly perfect scores in all our exams. I was running for the president's list in our college, so I was really upset. He ended up dismissing me and told me that professors do their job, and he implied that I must not have done my best. I was upset, so I stopped talking to him. I just dropped my phone after his last chat. No follow-up text from him that day. Nothing for weeks. Nothing for a month. Not even a single text, call, or even a hey. I really wanted to break the silence, but I decided against it. He always drops me and gives me the silent treatment, and I was always the one who ended up chasing after him whenever we had a disagreement or a fight. So I stood firm to see if he would do it for the first time in our 2-year relationship. A month later, he told me he wanted to get back and rekindle our relationship and that he wanted me back. However, I refused, broke up with him, and told him we were better off as friends. He was my first love and I'm really hurt. He left me for a whole month. What can I do to get rid of this guilt? Giving someone the silent treatment as a means to get what they want is very manipulative behavior. He may want you back, but do you think he has changed? Don't go back to get another helping of more of the same. You developed some backbone in this dynamic. I'd stick with it. LMAO, he didn't leave you. You stopped talking to him. He didn't ghost you if you ended the conversation. Could he have reached out? Yeah, but you could have too. You didn't. You sound immature, but you're 20, so that's pretty par for the course. Consider this a life lesson. If you don't want to stop talking to someone, don't stop talking to them. You're missing the point. He never calls her. She always initiates contact. He's not really into this relationship. When she decided not to initiate a conversation, it took him a month to reach out, then proceeds to say he wanted to get back together. What? Nah, she's good without these head games. I'm sorry, I'm so confused on why you're guilty. You've dated a grown toddler who threw temper tantrums and gave you the silent treatment for an entire month. What is there to feel guilty about? I'm sorry I'm harsh, but I'm just beyond confused here. Is there more to the story? Why on earth would you feel guilty for leaving someone who clearly doesn't seem to care if you're in their life? I sound like a boomer, but I date to marry. He was my first boyfriend and I loved him very much. He keeps saying to give him a second chance and I want to, but I keep remembering his silent treatments back then, some of which would last for weeks, leaving me begging. You're right, I shouldn't feel guilty. I, 33 female, planned a surprise party for my husband's 40th birthday over Labor Day weekend. I was inviting friends and his family from out of state. Our building has a seldom used large reception room with outside space. Reservations can be made at the front desk concierge or via the residence app for a fee. I reserved all day of the 4th back in July via the concierge. Saturday morning, a friend and I found decorations on the table and food out when we went to decorate the room. Assuming this was left over from the night before, we went down to the front desk and asked that they send someone up to help clean from the night before, a service covered by the deposit. When I got back, my friend is in an argument with a group of people. The group is claiming they reserved it for a wedding. We go back and forth for a bit. Neither of us is backing down. Finally, the man sent up to clean grabs the concierge, who confirmed I had the reservation for Saturday, the 4th. One group member, assuming groom, claims they booked via the app in May, but do not have a confirmation email, and when asked for any proof of deposit, he said it's free to use. To me, it's evident they'd never booked it or did not complete the booking. The space is free only without reservation. It's now 10 a.m. Their wedding is supposed to be at 2. My guests arrive at 6. The group suggests I move to the next day. Not possible, we had other plans. They proposed using the space for their wedding until 5:30 p.m. Again, I said no. The bride whines that it's not fair. They had to postpone from 2020, all venues are booked, and how she's settled for this setup so she could get married before she can't fit into her dress because she's pregnant. My friend and I don't buy it. My reply was along the lines of, why book this room 4 months out if you were only settling on it because you're pregnant? Your failure to plan and pregnancy is entirely your problem, as is finding a new venue. My friend suggested they try to use the space by the grills and pool. The concierge had them moved, citing the reservation and deposit in my name. My husband's party went as planned and it was a great time. Today, a neighbor and I were unlucky enough to be in the elevator with the bride. When getting out, she audibly muttered "witch" at me. I filled her in on the drama. She sides with the couple, saying I should have just moved our party to the grills since it was only a birthday. The thing is, I paid the deposit. We cannot have any alcohol by the pool, and I wanted to make use of the pool tables and shuffleboards in the reception room. But now I have doubts if I was an idiot or not. Not the idiot. I can't imagine planning my wedding and not triple-checking deposits and reservations. Like, how do you plan a wedding and never talk to the venue staff or confirm that you have that space? Bridezilla should have planned her wedding instead of assuming the room wouldn't be used. You paid money to reserve it, not your problem. Everyone's the idiot here. You must realize that as the story spreads, you will look like the idiot to all your neighbors, especially if the bride and groom do find any proof that they tried to reserve the space. This is one of those scenarios where you would have been better off to give in a little. I would have compromised all the way up until 5:30. More like they can use the interior to get married, but then their reception would have to be moved outside, and they would have to at least be out in the pool area by 4 p.m. There was no guarantee that they would be out by then, which is why I turned that down. It's a lot harder to get them out if they and their guests don't want to leave. 30 minutes isn't that long to clean whatever mess they left to get set up.